to a close. We'll get into our regular agenda. If you'll rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, followed by the invocation given by Councilman Argo tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you bow with me, please? Gracious and loving God, first of all, thank you for the gift of life, health, and strength. Lord, thank you for the gift of this day. Lord, I also ask a special blessing on all those that are here this evening. Lord, thank you for giving them safe traveling mercies and allow them to return safely to their homes. Lord, I also ask a special blessing on all that we do here this evening. May the actions that we take and the words that we speak be of benefit to those that we serve. And Lord, I know that our eyes cannot possibly see, nor our minds possibly comprehend the storms that happened last week and the lives that have been touched and lost and the property that's been damaged. Lord, I know that we can't possibly comprehend your master plan, but Lord, I thank you for your love and your mercy. And Lord, I ask that you continue to watch over those families that have been affected, the communities that have been affected. Continue to give them strength and the courage to go forward, Lord, and to benefit those that they serve. And Lord, as always, I thank you for our fighting men and women in uniform around the globe. Lord, thank you for the risks that they take and the opportunities that they avail themselves of to make sure that we're able to meet in places like this evening and conduct the business of our city. For it's in your Son's name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Striplin. Councilman Argo.
Here.
Councilman Miller. Councilman Reniger.
Here.
Councilman Bowles.
Here.
Councilman Fank.
Here. Call this meeting of the Prattville City Council to order this Tuesday, May the 3rd, in the year of 2011. The character trait of this month is discernment, understanding what is really happening. Best story I've ever heard, I heard at Rotary yesterday morning, and pertaining to discernment, says when you wake up and find yourself in a hole, stop digging. Councilman, you have received the minutes from the public hearing of the City Council meeting April the 19th. I will entertain a motion to approve these minutes at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Fank. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Bowes. Any discussion about the minutes? Hearing none, and we are going to vote by show of hands. All in favor of approving the minutes, signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing no opposition, the minutes are approved. This time, the mayor has asked for a moment of privilege. Mayor Gillespie.
general public so that they may be aware of and better understand the nature of this disability. Whereas autism and its complexity requires both increased research in order to find a cure and great recognition and understanding in order to ensure that individuals with autism living in our community, our state, and throughout our country are accurately diagnosed, effectively educated, and appropriately treated throughout the duration of their life. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Jr., Mayor of the City of Prattville, do hereby proclaim the month of April as Autism Awareness Month. Thank you for coming down, and thank you for representing our city.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've come at the point in our agenda where we will entertain comments from persons present. Our rules have changed. We will have 2 times of public comment. This particular time, we'll entertain comments from the general public specific to agenda items only. At the end of the agenda, we'll entertain comments from the public on any subject. But for now, it's just pertinent to the agenda items only. Is there any persons that have business to bring before the City Council tonight? Anyone at all? Well, this is rare. Seeing none, we'll go right into the Mayor's report. Mayor Gillespie.
Well, that was a short visit before, wasn't it? Okay, well, also one other thing I want to go ahead and start off with was our Character Week winners. And if I could ask the winners to come on up, Landon, Andrew, and Savannah. As they're coming up, just want to make everybody aware of our Character Week winners. Our Savannah Mosley, 6th grader from Prattville Intermediate School. She was our runner-up. Andrew Dennis, our runner-up. He's a 4th grade Billingsley School. And our winner was Landon Bison, 2nd grade Pine Level School. And I want to go ahead and read this proclamation. And Landon, if you'll come on over here closer to me. Whereas character is defined as the qualities built in an individual's life that determines his or her response, regardless of circumstances, where citizens of Prattville and Autauga County recognize the importance of honorable character qualities based upon the moral standards held by our founding fathers on which they established our nation and legal system. Whereas character is the foundation for everything that happens in a community. Good character determines positive attitudes and actions, as a lack of good character creates an equal negative impact. Whereas in an effort to encourage the use of good character traits and to demonstrate the importance of good character for the common good, the Prattville Autauga Character Coalition has formed in 2007 to promote good character among our citizens. And whereas character education is now taught in many of our schools, uses topic of sermons, speeches, and programs, and become an absolute necessity in the home and workplace, largely due in part to the Prattville Autauga County Character Coalition. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Jr., Mayor of the City of Prattville, Alabama, do hereby proclaim this week of May 4th, 2011 as Character Week. Thank you for all the work that you've done. When we get through with our pictures, we're going to have a little presentation.
I'm David Lewis, and I serve as the Vice Chairman of the Prattville Autauga Character Coalition, and I want to congratulate each of you young people on your participation in our poster contest. We opened a contest to all the elementary school students of Autauga County and our private schools, and we had these 3 participants to shine forth as winners. And Landon is our first place winner, and Landon is going to receive a savings bond and $50 cash for his poster, which you see here on the banner. So, Landon. Take the money and run. Our second place winner in Landon, by the way, is a second grade student at Pine Level School in Ms. Sharp's room. Andrew Dennis is our second place winner, and he is a fourth grader at Billingsley School in Miss Pelham's room. And our other second place winner is Savannah Mosley, and Savannah is a sixth grade student at Prattville Intermediate School in Miss Martinez's room. And we do want to make the council aware of our Character Week, which is coming up this week and next week, and we will be recognizing a number of citizens over the next week and a half for their accomplishments in character. Thank you.
If we can have all the Character Coalition members to stand, please, be recognized. Too many for me to really bring their names out, but thank you. Thank you. Well, one thing I'm really proud to say is that with the storms that were recently mentioned in our prayers, that City of Prattville was very, very lucky and fortunate that we only had a few limbs here or there, nothing of real significance to even mention about. But please, we need to keep everybody in our prayers over that. One bit of good news on that, I have talked with some mayors from Elmore County, and with discussing some of the storm with them, I found out that the Corps of Engineers is in the process of taking care of all the debris removal in Elmore County, so that should ease their burden in that area very, very well. And since the very first topic here is about the storm, I've asked both our police and fire chiefs to step up and please give me a brief report, give us a brief report on that, and if Chief Huggins could be the one to lead this off.
Thank you, Mayor. Last Wednesday night, as the storms approached, myself and the mayor and a lot of support staff went up to the EOC, and we were watching the storms roll in. We noticed there was some funnel clouds or some rotation around the high school area. That was a storm that we were very concerned with. Shortly before this time, we had also been notified by Coleman County or Coleman City that they had been devastated by an earlier tornado. They asked for assistance from our law enforcement division, so we put together a team of 6 officers, and we were notified at 3:30. They were prepared to go at 5:30. They were deployed. They met up in Montgomery with support staff and support teams. Shortly after this storm that we were concerned about hit, they were on the ground at Eclectic assisting Elmore County Sheriff's Department with the tornado, the EF4 that hit over there. Since that time, they have continued further north to assist Coleman and Madison County. We had a team on the ground up there at 11 o'clock the next morning. They worked a 24-hour shift. We set up a second rotation team that relieved them. They were deployed out on Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. We have a third rotation team that is set up to leave in the morning at 6 a.m., and we also have additional teams in order in case help is needed. We've been greatly appreciated for our assistance in these other counties and cities. Our mission has been safety. It's been patrolling the streets. It's been to enforced curfews. It's also been search and rescue. And I think we got a good group of people that have done a good job, stepped up to the plate. Just want to make you all aware of what we have done to assist our fellow agencies and our fellow counties in a time of need. We got some assistance in 2008 on a very small scale of what they're dealing with today. Just want to make you all aware of where we are and what we're doing. Thank you.
Chair, Council. We also had teams deployed 3 different regions, starting with Chilton County at the state EOC. Commander Whaley was dispatched there to handle logistics from that area. He worked 3 12-hour shifts. We also had another one dispatched to Jefferson County EOC, handling logistics and planning, and Lieutenant Hughes. We also deployed Heavy 6, which is a heavy rescue AMAS team, state of Alabama. We received a number about 10 o'clock to respond, 9:30. The mayor and I and the command staff with Chief Johnson, Commander Owens, Commander Connell, were watching the funnel take place over the city of Prattville. As soon as it cleared, the mayor gave the order to deploy. I want to thank the rest of the Prattville Fire Department for the readiness. The team was ready to leave at 11 o'clock. The team left at 11 o'clock. They arrived in Tuscaloosa hour and 45 minutes later, assigned to instant command, and started to work. That first team finished its task at 4:45, I believe, in the morning under the command of Commander Oates. He took a team of 11 with him. Also, Heavy 6 is majority of Prattville Fire Department. We do have several from Selma Fire Department that make up this regional response. Team 2 was ready to deploy. They left out to relieve Team 1 since it's in close proximity. I did not want to extend the work hours on Team 1, so Team 2 went to relieve. To let a report know, all regions have reported back. All of our people are back in service. We carried up one of our ATVs to Tuscaloosa yesterday, and it'll be there till further notice until we need it. But I'd like to commend truly the team members. I want everybody to know, too, this team has been green, what we call green, ready to go, all the way back to Ivan. They're an experienced bunch of individuals, highly trained, that have been called on to Ivan, to Mobile, Slidell, Waveland, Mississippi, past Christian. They've seen a lot and they've done a lot, and we're second to none. And we should all be proud of that they're the first to go. To let you know, every heavy team in Alabama was deployed at one time. But I want to commend them. I want to also commend the rest of the men and women of the Prattville Fire Department for the demobilization and readiness of equipment. The team is ready to go again. All the paperwork's been documented and filed for FEMA for reimbursement, and I anticipate no problem there. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Council. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, both chiefs. I've got a spider over here on the microphone, so give me 1 second. Okay, thank you. Well, one reason why I wanted our 2 chiefs to come up is because they lived it, even though I was just a small portion of it during the up there at the 911 center. Both chiefs stood up there, and the men that they sent out actually lived the experience there, and so that's one reason why I wanted those comments coming straight from them. But that was, like I say again, fortunately we had no real reports for storm damage here. One other thing I do want to talk about is that I did make several personal phone calls to different mayors around the state, to the ones that were affected in Coleman and Tuscaloosa and other cities. We've also sent out different letters offering our assistance there, and so we've been in contact with different cities there because, like the chief said earlier, we went through this a few years ago, and we know somewhat of what they're going through. Fortunately, at the time we went through it, we had 0 fatalities, and so we ought to be proud of our first responders here, and also the good Lord looking out for us. And I think that He has definitely done that over the last several months and so forth. So other parts of my report is that I want to go ahead and thank all the city employees that during both storms that have come through here recently have really stepped up to the plate and done exactly what we have asked of them, and they have been, they're again some of the best employees in the state, in my opinion. Also, I want to talk about today is that we now have online some of our planning forms, so that way if somebody needs something as simple as a yard sale or something along that line, they should be able to go through the planning department to get some of those without, they can go ahead and fill the forms out ahead of time and then come back and print that form out, bring it to the front desk, and go ahead and pay whatever that the fee is for that particular item. And that way it should speed up productivity there at the front counter and cut down on time that the citizen has there inside of the annex or city hall. Also today we started some cross-training. Our revenue officer and also our officer clerk went out on some runs today trying to make certain that all the different taxes, tax stickers and so forth were in place, making certain that businesses had their business licenses and so forth. At this point in time, we only have one revenue officer, and if gentlemen up here on the council remember our productivity study that lasted from somewhere around 05 and 06, it did recommend one extra person with the revenue officer, and so trying to keep our personnel numbers down, we're doing some cross-training in that area. Also, on May the 14th, we have our Watauga County Pales Electronic Recycling Program going on. It's from 8 to 11 at the Pratt Plaza. I think on one portion of our agenda tonight, we do have several items that we plan on utilizing the recycling program. And so if you guys can pass that, I don't see where there should be any real issue there. One of the things I do have to go ahead and report now is that our sales taxes for our April, which is actually the month of March, regrettably they are down $36,570 or 3.02%. In 2010, our net on those was $1,200,000. Net today is $1,173,000. Just want to bring that to the council's attention. We've also been working, I've been working with all the department heads about go ahead and creating a 5-year plan for their department so that way we can have a long-term project for the city so we can be moving forward. I've also tasked each and every department head to bring us a budget from their department where we will not have to make any cuts. It might be a pie-in-the-sky dream for us to have a budget presented to us from the departments where we do not have to make any cuts of theirs, but it is a goal, and I hope that we can reach that goal. On the agenda, we also have a $10,000 savings from Southern Link, which I'm also working. I hope you guys will pass that this evening. I'm also working on other contracts to help reduce those. That should be coming back before us, if not at the next council meeting, the following after that. One other item that you guys had passed earlier this year was where we resodded the city ball field. Just want to go ahead and give everybody an update on that. That field is up and running, and so they're utilizing it for the youth of our city, and they are enjoying it as we stand here tonight. Our city IT department is sitting patiently waiting to hopefully bring it up out of the basement of the City Hall Annex. I need the council's approval for us to go ahead and spend the money on that. But also, if you recall, in our productivity study and also our another report, it mentioned about the IT department being dangerous sitting down in the basement of City Hall in case we have a power outage, the sump pump would not work. So I would ask that you guys go ahead and pass that tonight. We also have a National Day of Prayer, which is May the 5th. Tickets are available in the mayor's office. They're $8. So if you come by and want to have those, that'd be open to the public also. Our City Fest is coming up this coming weekend. Starts this Friday evening. We have a band out, and we look forward to having everybody come out for that. Saturday, it starts in the morning and runs till roughly somewhere around 5 o'clock or so in the evening. And it's look forward to some good fun and good food and good people. So need to come on out for that. One other item, too, I wanted to bring up is that we did have a recall. We're not a recall, but the police department pulled 67 pounds of drugs back off the street, some prescription drugs. They had a national day on that, and I hate to say I left my notes over here at the counter, so give me 1 second. We actually pulled 63.9 pounds of unwanted, unneeded prescription drugs that were collected. It was 46.5 pounds of pills and 17.4 pounds of liquid. So it's just one way that we can get some of our unneeded prescription drugs off of there. The census report is also online, and just needed to make everybody aware of that. That also in the near future, I believe the council is going to be entertaining the idea of redistricting, relooking at the redistrict lines. So that's pretty much all of my report on that tonight. And if you have any questions, I'm willing to entertain them.
Any questions of the mayor? Councilman Fake.
It's not really a question. It's more just a comment that something I thought about, and when you had the chiefs come up and talk, it kind of reinforced it to me on Thursday, actually Wednesday. I was one of those idiots sitting on the interstate in Fultondale where I shouldn't have been, but it kind of reinforced to me something that when you were on the council as well back in January, we had a lot of discussion and a lot of, I guess, turmoil over the training up in Maryland. And to me, it reinforced the good decision that we made then to send our folks up there, even though it was 30-some-odd employees. It just reinforced to me that, you never know when something like that's going to happen, and we need to utilize these agencies that are willing to do this training with us, because I can only imagine, as Chief Brown mentioned, the incident response command post. And I remember when I went through some of the initial training with it and the terminology and the lingo and how it ends up being a seamless transition into how they can be incorporated into those life-saving events that they participated with. And it also kind of struck me as very interesting that one of the biggest proponents that was trying to convince us, or it didn't take convincing for me, but trying to reassure some that how vital the training was, happened to be Mayor Maddox from Tuscaloosa. And little did he know how much he would need in just a few short months. So I just wanted to say that. It really just kind of resonated with me, and I just felt compelled to say that. Thank you.
And training is very vital and so forth. And we were very fortunate on this end that we did not have to call our outside brethren to come down and help us out. But I agree that any time that you do have a communication breakdown, that can really put you behind the eight ball so much that it's hard to explain. But with the proper training, it keeps everybody on the same page, and so hopefully in the years to come there will be more training out there, and hopefully we can utilize it. I do realize that. I'm sorry. One section of it I did fail to mention is that because Tuscaloosa did get hit so hard, and they do have the fire training college up there, I do believe that they're going to start bringing some of the training down here. Is that correct, Chief?
As of starting the 9th of this month, all classes have been moved to Prattville. Several motels are being rented at this time. There's 3 classes that will be taking place the next week, possibly 3 more. So all that class has come to the Prattville campus. So that's sad for that, but they're being used as logistics, finance. The whole region's there, about 400 people. So that's very good for us.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Did you guys ever get that ladder? Have you gotten the ladder from the leadership class yet by any chance?
No, so I believe they have called.
Okay. Okay.
That is
Thank
I
you.
believe that ladder is the one that was donated by the Leadership Watauga class.
Yeah, this year's Leadership Watauga County class, which Miss Lisa Thrash with the city and former city clerk Gina Smith is in that class. But that class took that up as one of their projects. It's not the only project, but they took that up as one of their projects.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you.
We'll go to our council committee reports now. Councilman Striplin.
No report.
Councilman Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to remind the Public Safety Committee that we have a Public Safety Committee meeting on Monday, 5/9, 6 p.m. It'll be here in the police squad room.
Councilman Argo.
No report.
Councilman Bowles.
No, sir.
Councilman Fank.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Tom Miller was unable to be with us tonight. He is making the rounds of the affected areas in our state with his boss from the State Public Health Office, and he regrets not being here, but he hopes that you will understand that he is looking after the public health and welfare of those that were affected by the tornado. He had a Finance Committee report, and he will give that at our next meeting. We will move into our agenda items now. Resolution number 1 is to authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Southern Link through September the 30th, 2011. It was introduced and held from our April 19th meeting. I understand this does need to be amended. Councilman Fank, would you introduce the amendment, please?
Sure, absolutely. I need to substitute lines 24 through 26, actually remove those lines, and insert in its place, be it further resolved that this agreement is contingent upon Southern Link refunding to the City of Prattville the sum of $10,000 no later than June 1st, 2011. I offer that in the form of an amendment.
Amendment's been moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bowles. Any discussion about the amendment? Yes, Councilman Argo.
Yes, sir. I'm not opposed to the amendment because I know it's necessary, and I know we had some discussion at our last meeting about the language and how it was confusing in some places. But what we're doing if we adopt this amendment is that we're taking out the language that says where the funds are going to be appropriated from, and it has always been the position of this council that we put language in resolutions stating where the money is coming from in the budget. So we're deviating from our normal practice. It's not a rule, but it's always been our practice. What we're doing is we're authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Southern Link. So he's getting ready to sign a contract with a company. There's no dollar amount in here saying how much the contract is, but yet we're getting $10,000 back, and the whole contract is contingent on us getting the $10,000. This is just a strange resolution. I'm going to vote for the amendment, and I'm going to vote to get the $10,000. But it's just, this is the strangest resolution I've seen since the GOAT ordinance, which was a long time ago. So I just want to make that point. Thank you.
Erring on the conservative, I'm going to ask for a legal opinion on that. Mr. McDowell, do we need to make some other adjustments in this resolution before we move forward?
Is it my understanding we do or do not have a current contract with Southern Link?
My understanding is that we do have one. We're about it. We're in agreement with them off the state bid contract.
Okay.
And the one reason why I don't think you can have an actual dollar amount bottom is because it varies depending on how many cell phones and what services are out there.
Okay. So I understand hearing Mayor Gillespie say that it's you won't know the dollar amount. I don't think you can put that in there. So I agree with you, Mr. Councilman Argo. It's a little squirrely, but I believe it gets the job done for the purpose.
Any other questions about the amendment? Councilman Fink.
First of all, thank you for allowing me to make that amendment. I would be happy if Councilman Argo would prefer to offer a substitute amendment. I'm clearly not married to this. I didn't realize I was making the amendment until Councilman Reniger called on me to make the amendment. So if you would like to make an adjustment to it, please feel free.
Okay. Any other comments about this proposed amendment? All right. All in favor of amending this resolution as stated, signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition, raise your right hand. The amendment is adopted. Now, Counselor, do we need to vote on the amended resolution, or does that take care of this particular item? We voted to approve the amendment. Now, do we need to approve the amended resolution?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to check. Is there any other conversation or comments about the amended resolution at this time? All in favor of the amended resolution, signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the resolution is passed. Item number 2 is an ordinance to implement Code of Alabama 1975 as amended, Section 11-47-7.1, additional court costs and fees on certain municipal cases authorized, distribution of funds for jails or court complex. This was held from our April 19th meeting where it was introduced. Is there any further discussion on this ordinance? Councilman Fink.
Yes, sir. I am going to offer an amendment to this, but I wanted to, I guess, clarify a few things. And this is, I guess, pursuant to a Leisure Services Judicial Committee meeting that we had. The amendment that I'm going to offer, what we have currently, the legislature has allowed us to collect, and our municipal judge is with us. It might be better at some point for him to come up if I start veering off track. But it allows us to establish a corrections fund. I guess several years ago in 1999 timeframe, the legislature enacted a $40 charge on top of our municipal court cases to go towards funding the Metro Jail. And that money has been collected and is part of the funding source for the Metro Jail. It also allowed us to collect up to the district court costs in additional fees, court costs that can be used for training, employees, actually salaries and the like. We never, I guess, fully implemented that. We never went out and took the authority that the legislature enacted us to do. So what this will do once I make the amendment, we looked at what the overall total cost of the employee-related portion of municipal court, and we factored in, you know, everything from special judges, because we do from time to time. Our municipal judge, Judge Colley, has to recuse himself for one reason or another. So we have to have a special judge from time to time, special prosecutor, so on and so forth. And what this will do is make this agency, this department, fully self-sustaining, and will basically remove the expense portion out of the general fund, and it will create a corrections fund that will fund this department. And so that's just a little background on it. The amendment that I would make on this is to amend line item 11 to read, amended additional court costs of $35 should apply to traffic cases and $35 should apply to non-traffic cases. This will still keep us below the district court cost, but it will make this department self-sustaining, so to speak, and will remove the employee funding source out of the general fund and into this corrections fund. Yes, in the form of an amendment.
Amendment has been moved by Councilman Fink. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bowes. Is there any discussion about the proposed amendment? Councilman Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no problem with the amendment. I just want to make sure, and Mr. McDowell or somebody that knows can help me. I don't know if we have a rule in place that states that amendment needs to be in writing, or is that just something that someone stated a while back. But I think we have a rule in place, and I could care less whether we have it in place, because I like to bring some amendments from the floor. But I want to be clear before I vote on this tonight. Just in case this happens, I may want to bring one up in the future. So whoever can correct me, I want to know, are the rules in place? Can we bring amendments from the floor? If so, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
And I'm trying to remember from the newest ones that y'all just passed, did it address that? Do you remember, Councilman Argo?
It did not change our current standing rule.
Okay. Then my understanding is our current rule is it's supposed to be in writing.
Thank you.
And that's your current policy as it stands right now, that y'all adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Fink.
Great point, Councilman Wood. I appreciate that. I'd make a motion that we hold this for 2 weeks, and I'll have that amendment before you in writing for the next meeting.
Okay, now are you withdrawing your amendment?
Yes, I'm withdrawing my amendment.
Withdrawing the second?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the amendment and the second has been withdrawn, and now your motion is to hold?
Motion to hold for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. Is there a second? Are you second, or do you want to call a question to? Okay, Councilman Arco.
Mr. Fink, don't move to hold it. It will take 15 seconds to write an amendment. If you want to whistle Dixie or do something for 10 seconds, I will write the amendment. Councilman Wood makes a very good point. That is our rule. It has always been our rule. It's also one of the rules that we have not always adhered to. But I'm hoping that with our new rules that we adopted 2 weeks ago, that we will abide by our rules and stick to them. So I would hope that in the future we won't have to have questions like that, because we all should be familiar with the rules and be able to follow them. So I would ask you not to move to hold this. I think it's important that we go ahead and get it in place, have an opportunity to allow the court and judicial departments to become self-sustaining. I like the fact that you're making the amendments to line 11, because what it does is that it makes the users of the system responsible for payment of the system, and I like that, and I think that's the way it ought to be. The users of the system ought to have to bear the burden of paying the cost. So I hope you've had time to draft that amendment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. The amendment is in writing to amend line 11. Amend additional court cost of $35 should apply to traffic cases, and $35 should. Thank you.
Okay, we have okay.
Second.
We're going to get this off the table somehow or another. Motion to amend has been moved by Councilman Fink and seconded by Councilman Wood. Is there any further discussion on the amendment or proposed amendment? All those in favor of the proposed amendment, signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing no opposition, the amended ordinance is now before us. Is there any other discussion or anything else that needs to be said about the amended ordinance? All those in favor of the amended ordinance signify by raising your right hand. All those in opposition signify by like sign. Seeing none, the ordinance is passed. Ordinance number 3. Petition for annexation of Old Ridge Road between River Chase North and Pendlebrook subdivision. This was introduced and held from our April the 19th, 2011 meeting. Is there any other discussion on this proposed ordinance? Seeing none, I'm sorry, Mr. Councilman Wood, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of questions. Mr. Duke, maybe you can help me with this. It's my understanding that this has been before the Planning Commission and has been accepted by them, and I'm sure these people want to get in here. Love to have them. My only concern right now is that last week we met concerning redistricting. What effect will this have? Because we're going to immediately start that process, I hope, within the next week or two. What effect will this particular one, since it was already on the table prior to our discussion of redistricting for the 2010 election?
Yes, sir. This is in addition to the Glenbrook subdivision. The developer realized they needed a little extra land for stormwater management. So this will be a vacant piece of property with nothing but detention ponds on it.
Okay.
And so it will not have an impact on your redistricting.
Thank you.
Any other questions pertaining to this proposed ordinance? Mr. Wood, your last
Mr. Chair, also, I'm just going to get this out of the way. I don't know if this council wants to do that, but I'm just throwing it out for food for thought. Since we do have a 2012 election coming and a redistricting in process, we may want to consider a moratorium on annexation of land until at least we get through this 2012 election for consideration.
Would you like to put that in the form of
No, that's just for future annexations until we get this behind us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wood. Any other discussion on this ordinance before we vote? All those in favor of ordinance number 3 signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition? By like sign. Saying none, this ordinance passes. Next item is resolution petition for de-annexation of intersection of Interstate 65 and Cobbs Ford Road. This was introduced at our April 19th meeting and held. Is there any further discussion on this resolution? Councilman Bowles.
I'm not sure who would answer this question the best, but on hotels, and I know that we all know that this is a de-annexation, hopefully to get a hotel, but we would be losing the hotel. Millbrook would be gaining a hotel. My question would be, do we make more money off of bed tax or restaurants? Because the more beds we have in here, more restaurants we can get in here. Would anybody be privy to that information? Mayor, any idea?
You've caught me off guard on that one, but I do know that I eat out a lot more than I stay at the local hotel, so that's all I can help you out on.
Let's ask our finance director, Mr. Mosley. Could you bring some enlightenment to the question?
The actual lodging tax rate that we get is higher than the sales tax rate on restaurants, if that's what you're asking. But I think the cost benefit to this project would be not in our favor. It would take us years if we ever made up the money from what it would cost to pump sewer under the interstate.
Does that satisfy you? Okay. So is the any other questions? Mr. Wood?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's my understanding, and I want to make sure that I get this answer publicly. I know the answer, but I want to get it publicly. We've never de-annexed any land Mr. McDowell, Mr. Duke, before have we? Not that any of you all are aware of. Okay, here's another question for thought. Just say we de-annex this piece of property. Say next year, another hotel decided they wanted to de-annex. What effect this would have on us financially if that hotel and then another hotel de-annexed away from Prattville to be in Millbrook? Wouldn't that have a tremendous effect? That question is
But the only way someone could de-annex is with by y'all approving it. Someone who's already in it can't just...
Right, I understand that, but just say this one is approved. Just say this one is approved. And next year, because this one is approved and because of, mitigating circumstances with the individuals, another party decide to de-annex it.
I don't believe you're setting any legal precedent by de-annexing this one, and then a year from now someone comes and says, I want to de-annex because you did it last year. I think a de-annexation is truly a fact-by-fact situation.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not worried about someone a year from now saying, hey, you de-annex this one, therefore I get to do it. No, I'm not worried about that.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Wait just a minute, Mayor. Let's take care of the council first. Councilman Argo.
Yes, sir. I just have to be right up front and honest about it. I'm really troubled by this. And the reason that I'm troubled by this is that we have a property owner who wants to develop his property. But he's run into a brick wall because the community in which he's going to have to use their sewer system refuses to allow him to tap into their sewer. It's almost impossible, I won't say it's impossible, but it's almost impossible for the city of Prattville to run sewer across the interstate to handle this particular piece of property if it were to be developed. So basically what we have is we have one community that is telling the property owner, you can't use us unless you have the other community de-annex. And I know that the mayor has done a yeoman's job in trying to broker a deal with the other community so that it becomes a mutually beneficial arrangement. But unfortunately, his efforts have not been successful, at least not yet. I cannot vote for this. Mr. Wood makes a point, even though Mr. McDowell says it's not a legal precedent. If we have a property owner who wishes to de-annex, even with his special set of circumstances, which beyond his control, it's not his fault, and certainly he should not be penalized for it. But if he decides to de-annex and we grant that, then what's to stop Mr. Williams from coming up in 6 months and going, you know what, I really like the deal I'm getting over in Millbrook a lot better. I want to be de-annexed. It's just not smart business for cities to allow property owners to de-annex when we already know that that property owner is going to develop a business that's going to be in direct competition with the businesses in the city that he's leaving. I cannot imagine a more perfect storm of difficult circumstances for one property owner, and I feel for him, and I wish there was some way that I could help him other than voting for this, and I cannot, and I hope this council will really think about it long and hard before it votes to allow a de-annexation, even with a special set of circumstances that we find ourselves in. Thank you.
Any other comments or? Yes, Mr. Argo.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, do you think that there's any way possible that you and the property owner or members of this council or members of the community could take another run at trying to work out a mutually beneficial agreement, or do you think that that's just going to be pretty much a waste of time?
After the other conversations that I had, I believe that it'd just be a waste of time, and it's just there's no budge, no wiggle room at all over there. The other thing I did want to mention is that some of the comments up there, I think it might have been a little confusing. Some people in the audience is that there is nothing on this property at all now. It's nothing but almost a gully. So it's there is no hotel on it at all. But that's all I wanted to say.
Councilman Fink.
I guess I'd like to see if we couldn't try to make one more run at our neighboring community on trying to get them to work with us. I know there's been discussions in the past about ways that our communities could work together collaboratively, and I think this gives us a great opportunity. I agree. I think Mayor Gillespie has done a yeoman's job in trying to work with our neighboring community, and I would just like for us to have an opportunity, because this is a very, very difficult piece of legislation before us. I agree. It is almost the perfect storm coming together. If we could, I would offer an amendment to hold for 2 additional weeks in an attempt to try to work with the property owner and our neighboring community if we can. This has already been held. I think it's only been held once, so I think we can hold it one more time to see if we could work out a compromise with our neighboring community. And I know it's not my responsibility to appoint a committee, but I think Councilman Striplin probably would be a good one. He's got a vast experience and knowledge in this arena, certainly more so than I do, but I would offer that in the form of a motion that we hold for 2 weeks pending, maybe a further attempt to work out a compromise with our neighboring community.
Okay, there's been a move to hold. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Argo. Any discussion about the move to hold? All those in favor of holding this till our next regularly scheduled council meeting signify by raising your right hand. All opposition by like sign. By my count, it was 4-2, and the move to hold passes. So we'll address this in 2 weeks. Next item on the agenda is a resolution to authorize the release of funds to build housing for the information technology equipment. It was introduced and held from our April 19th meeting. Any other discussion on this resolution? All those in favor signify by signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? The resolution passes by 5-1 vote. Item number 6 is a resolution to grant a restaurant retail liquor license for Outback Steakhouse of Florida, LLC, doing business as Outback Steakhouse number 1271. Mr. Wood, would you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Whereas Joseph J. Cadeau, Executive Vice President, Outback Steakhouse of Florida, LLC, doing business as Outback Steakhouse number 1271, has applied for a restaurant retail liquor license at the business located at 1899 Sugar Exchange, Prattville, Alabama, 36067, which is a restaurant. And whereas said license will be a new application, and now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama hereby approves the issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license to Joseph A. Cadeau, Executive Vice President, Outback Steakhouse of Florida, LLC, doing business as Outback Steakhouse, number 1271. Mr. Chair, I so move.
This resolution has been moved by Councilman Wood. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Councilman Fank. Any discussion on this resolution? This was on our public hearing agenda earlier, and we heard no opposition from the general public. All those in favor of passing this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the resolution passes. Number 7 is an ordinance. It's a request to zone property located off of County Road 4 and Corley Road. It's my understanding that we are ready to vote on this, and it does not need to be read. But is there any discussion on this proposed ordinance before we vote? Councilman Bowes.
I'd like to make a motion to hold to allow the Prattville ARP board, Industrial Development Board, a chance to go over this before we vote on it.
Okay, there's a move on the floor to hold for 2 weeks to our next regularly scheduled meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Argo. Any discussion on holding? Councilman Argo.
Yes, sir. First of all, I'm not sure why we didn't have to read the ordinance. Has it been previously introduced? It has been previously introduced? Okay, it didn't indicate on here that it had been, so I do apologize. Yes, sir. I make the motion to hold because I want a little bit more time to study this. I met with one of the developers of this property this past week and had an opportunity to look at the site and have a discussion about what's going to be located out there should this property be rezoned. And I don't think it's any shock to the council. I have always been a property rights proponent. I believe that a person ought to be able to develop their property as they see fit, within reason, of course. And I believe that property owners ought to have every opportunity to develop their property. But I have also spoken to several members of the IDB who do wish to have an opportunity to talk about this because they feel as though that it could compromise their industrial park. And I certainly don't want to be a part of anything that's going to do that, but I do think that there needs to be some further discussion. So that's the reason why I seconded the motion to hold. I'd like some additional time, and that will certainly give the IDB that time to do that. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion to hold? All those in favor of the motion to hold signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? This will be held for 2 weeks. Item number 8 is a resolution to authorize the mayor to renew the lease agreement with HPRA for the Performing Arts Center. Mr. Striplin, will you introduce the resolution, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas the City of Prattville operates the former Westbrook School as a center for performing arts and other similar functions, and whereas the Historic Prattville Redevelopment Authority purchased the property to assist the city in acquiring said property, and whereas the current mortgage is due and HPRA has a new mortgage which requires the city to enter into a lease to purchase said property through HPRA, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that the mayor is authorized to renew the lease purchase agreement with HPRA, and funds to make necessary payments are approved and appropriated from the Community Initiatives Historic Prattville Redevelopment Authority line item. So moved.
Okay, this resolution has been moved by Councilman Striplin and seconded by Councilman Fank. Is there any discussion on the proposed resolution? Councilman Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution talks about the current mortgage. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. And then it goes down and talk about funds to make necessary payments are approved from the community initiatives. I don't think we have funded enough cash in community initiatives to make mortgage payments. I'm not sure, but have we done that? You had that before you, if Mr. Chair, if you will allow. What is the funding for HPRA?
Mr. Mosley, will you come forward, please?
Because I haven't seen some.
Yes, sir. It is in the community initiatives. Just one second. Let me get back there.
The 32,732 is
Yes,
that?
sir.
Is that amount strictly for mortgage purposes?
Yes,
in
sir.
that building only?
Yes, sir.
Does that amount cover
Yes,
the
sir.
mortgage?
It's just 4 payments throughout the year. It's a quarterly payment.
So it's my understanding that we're behind on the mortgage payments for
Yes, sir.
3
We're
quarters.
waiting for the budget to pass to get the rest of them out. Yes, sir.
But we do have enough money in here to cover the payments for a year.
Yes, sir.
The yearly payments.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other comments, questions, discussion on this? Since we are encumbering funds, this item must be held until our next regularly scheduled meeting unless the rules are suspended. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Argo has moved that we suspend the rules. Is there a second? Councilman Fink has seconded this. Any discussion on suspending the rules? All those in favor of suspending the rules signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign. Seeing none, the rules are suspended and the resolution is properly before us. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, this resolution is passed. Resolution number 9, to authorize the expenditure not to exceed $1,600 to P&H Supply Company for the purchase of 1 lateral cutter for the wastewater department. Mr. Argo, will you introduce this for us, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Whereas the City of Prattville's wastewater department has an urgent need to replace worn parts for the root saw motor, and whereas the wastewater department is in need of purchasing 1 lateral cutter at a cost of $1,575 and shipping costs are $20. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in an amount not to exceed $1,600 are hereby authorized and approved to be paid to P&H Supply Company, and said funds are to be paid from the wastewater, street, and sewer line item. Mr. President, I so move.
This has been moved by Councilman Argo. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bowles. It's my understanding from legal counsel that this is a budgeted item and does not require a suspension of the rules. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Those opposed by like sign. Seeing none, this resolution passes. Item number 10 is an ordinance to surplus various IT equipment and authorize the disposal at the PALS, P-A-L-S, electronic recycling event to be held on May 14th, 2011. Mr. Bowes, will you introduce this ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. One point of privilege. Do I need to read all of these numbers? There's like 150 of them. No. We'll be here till 10 o'clock. I'll be glad to do it. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama, as followed, that the items listed below are hereby declared surplus of the Information Technology Department and are to be removed from the inventory of said department. Be it further ordained that the City Council instructs the mayor to recycle said inventory at the Piles Electronic Recycling event to be held on May 14, 2011. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Bowes. He has moved the ordinance. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Argo. By point of order, this will hold to our next regularly scheduled council meeting unless there is a move to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Argo. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Strickland. Any discussion on the move to suspend the rules? Councilman Argo.
Yes, sir. Because the PALS event's on May 14th, we wouldn't have time to take this up at our next meeting. So I think we need to suspend the rules and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? All those in favor of suspending the rules signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the rules are suspended and the ordinance is properly before us. Any other discussion on this ordinance? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the ordinance is adopted. Item number 11 is a resolution to request to renew the lease with Spinners Club Incorporated. Councilman Fink, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Whereas the City of Prattville utilizes the park owned by the Spinners Club Incorporated for various community purposes, and whereas the current lease has expired, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that the mayor is authorized to renew the lease at $1 per year with Spinners Club Incorporated, and funds to make necessary payments are approved and appropriated from the Leisure Services Professional Service line item. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
This resolution has been moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Argo, moved by Councilman Fink. By point of order, since this encumbers funds, it must be held unless the rules are suspended.
So moved.
Councilman Wood has moved that we suspend the rules. Is there a second? Moved and seconded by Councilman Fink. Is there any discussion about the move to suspend the rules? Hearing none, all those in favor of suspending the rules signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the rules are suspended. Resolution's properly before us. Any other discussion about the proposed resolution? Councilman Strickland.
Is the term of this lease 5 years?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, this resolution passes. Item 12, resolution to authorize Human Resources Department to begin hiring process for a police chief. Mr. Wood, would you please introduce this resolution?
Whereas the City of Prattville's Police Chief Alfred Waters retired on March 30, 2011, whereas the City Council of the City of Prattville has implemented a hiring freeze, and whereas to ensure the efficiency of the police department, a permanent police chief needs to be in place. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that the Human Resources Department is hereby authorized to begin the hiring process for a police chief. Mr. Chair, I so move.
Mr. Wood has moved this resolution. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Strickland. Any discussion on this resolution? Councilman Argo.
Yes, sir. Where's Ms. Thrash? There she is. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I usually am. The current personnel policies and guidelines gives the mayor the authority to bring names for department heads to the council. I believe the rule states that he has to bring 2 names, another rule that we've not always followed. But that's a side discussion. And maybe I need to direct this to the mayor instead of Lisa Thrash, but number one, I wanted to confirm that is correct. I believe the mayor has the authority to bring names forward for department heads.
Yes, sir, that's the way I understand it, two names.
Actually, the personnel policies and guidelines just states that vacant, unclassified positions, such as the one being presented right now, are filled at the pleasure of the mayor and/or council as specified in the Code of Alabama or local ordinances of these guidelines. It does not specify names and that type of thing.
And also, if I remember correctly, the resolution that we adopted to appoint Chief Huggins as the interim chief, I believe it states that until his successor is duly appointed. Personally, I'm not comfortable with Resolution 12 or Resolution 13, and I've expressed that to the mayor. This is not anything that's going to shock him. I'm not comfortable with moving forward on 12 or 13 for the simple fact that we are in a hiring freeze. We have two able-bodied individuals that are performing the functions of chief of police and chief of fire. If for some reason the process were to move smoothly, which they rarely do, but if it were to move smoothly, it is possible that we would have new chiefs or new names for the mayor to bring to the council for chiefs prior to the adoption of our 2012 budget, which therefore we would be taking on additional liability as far as salary and benefits. I would feel more comfortable if the resolution stated that the position would not be filled until October 1 or after, but it does not state that. And my last point is, I've never seen a resolution before the council to authorize human resources to begin the hiring process. I believe that Ms. Thrash has the ability to begin that process with the mayor, because the mayor has the authority to bring the names to the council. So basically what we're doing is we're adopting a resolution that he already has the authority to do. So I don't understand why we're doing that. I would just ask the council to either, one, put language in here that says that the positions will not be filled until October 1, or allow the mayor to begin the process under his own authority rather than adopting a resolution by the council which just restates his authority. For what that's worth.
Address that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mayor Gillespie.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And you're correct on some points there. It is supposed to be my duty to provide two names, the way I understand it, to the council for them to vote on this. And it has, we are under very unique circumstances here. I'm certain everybody here is aware of. So what we're doing here is in a overabundance of caution, is so that way we're not wasting any valuable time or resources by going out there and go ahead and advertising for this. We're trying to make certain that we all are on the same page. Also, the other comment as far as when the person would actually be hired, if memory serves me well, at the 3 council meetings ago or 4 meetings ago, when you had a lot of amendments. I think it was our 4-hour marathon. You removed personnel dollars out for that. So I can guarantee you that as the process goes, whether it's smoothly or a marathon, these positions would not be ready to be hired until the beginning of next fiscal year.
With all due respect to the mayor, that 4-hour marathon was not due just to my amendments, but that's okay.
Okay. Any further discussion on this proposed resolution? I understand. I overlooked a note that we got from our city clerk. We actually, if we're going to act on this tonight, need to change line item 9 to read March 31st rather than March the 30th before we vote on it. Since it's already been read, I guess it has to be amended, doesn't it, Counselor?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilman Fink.
Yes, sir. I would like to offer an amendment, line item 9, to change it to 31, 2011, and if we just change that to 31.
The amendment's been introduced. Is there a second? Councilman Argo?
I'm sorry, could you state the motion one more time?
The amendment
Councilman Argo has seconded the motion to amend. Any discussion on the motion to amend? All those in favor of the proposed amendment signify by raising your right hand. Anyone in opposition by like sign? Are you voting both ways?
I'm sorry, I didn't bring my hand down fast enough.
The amendment passes. Now the amended resolution is before us. Any further discussion on the amended resolution? Councilman Argo.
Yes, sir. I have an amendment. On line 23, after the period, insert the following language. This position shall not be filled until October 1, 2011 or later. I so move.
That's my amendment.
Proposed amendment, an additional one, has been moved by Councilman Argo and seconded by Councilman Fink. Is there any discussion on this proposed amendment? Seeing none, all in favor of this proposed amendment signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? It's 5-1. Carries. Now, the amended resolution is before us. Any other discussion about the amended resolution? All in favor of the amended resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? I see none, and the amended resolution is passed. Next item before us is a resolution to authorize the Human Resources Department to begin the hiring process for a fire chief. Councilman Bowes, would you introduce that for me, please?
Sure. Whereas the City of Prattville Fire Chief Stanley Gann retired March 1st, 2011, and whereas the City Council of the City of Prattville has implemented a hiring freeze, and whereas to ensure the effectiveness of the fire department, a permanent fire chief needs to be in place. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City of Prattville of the City of Prattville, by the City Council of the City of Prattville that the Human Resource Department is hereby authorized to begin the hiring process for the fire chief. I so move.
This resolution has been moved by Councilman Bowes. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Wood.
Second.
Councilman Wood. Any discussion about this proposed resolution? Councilman Argo.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I have a amendment to Resolution 13, line 23. Insert after the period. This position shall not be filled until October 1, 2011 or later.
Councilman Argo has proposed an amendment, seconded by Councilman Fink. Is there any discussion on the proposed amendment? Seeing none, all in favor of the proposed amendment signify by raising your right hand. All in opposition, like sign. It carries 5-1. All right, the amended resolution is before us. Is there any discussion on the amended resolution? All in favor of the amended resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the resolution carries. Item 14. Is a resolution to set a public hearing to declare various wooded lots to be a public nuisance and ordering their abatement per Title 11, Chapter 67 of the Code of Alabama, 1975, as amended. Councilman Strippin, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas an abundance of overgrown grass or weeds is injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare by providing a breeding ground and shelter for rats, mice, snakes, and mosquitoes and other vermin. And whereas an abundance of overgrown grass and weeds bearing wingy or downy seeds, when mature, may cause the spread of weeds. And whereas an abundance of overgrown grass and weeds may also hide debris, such as glass or metal, that could inflict injury on a person going to such property. And whereas an abundance of overgrown grass and weeds may also pose a fire hazard and respiratory hazard. And whereas Section 1167-1 and so forth of the Code of Alabama 1975 as amended permits the City Council of the City of Prattville to declare an abundance of overgrown grass and weeds to be a public nuisance. And whereas the Prattville Planning Department has inspected the properties at the following addresses and determined that the existence of an abundance of overgrown grass and weeds: 227 Chestnut Street, 409 Sheffer Road, 1264 Upper Kingston Road, 230 Radburn Way, 338 Bedford Terrace, 209 Radburn Way, 512 Mount Airy Drive, vacant lots, Winchester Ridge, Plat 2. Vacant lots, Winchester Ridge, Plat 1, 537 Weatherby Trail. Vacant lots, Winchester Ridge, Plat 1. Vacant lot, Winchester Ridge, Plat 1. Vacant lot, Winchester Ridge, Plat 1. 186 Winchester Way, vacant lot, Winchester Ridge, Plat 1. 195 Winchester Way. 514 Weatherby Trail, 516 Weatherby Trail, 527 Weatherby Trail. Vacant lots, Winchester Plat 1. Vacant lots, Winchester Plat 1. Vacant lots, Hearthstone Estate, Plat 2. Vacant lot, Hearthstone Estates, Plat 1. Vacant lot, Hearthstone Estates, Plat 1. 940 Fireside Drive, 938 Fireside Drive. Vacant lots, Hearthstone Estates, Plat 2. Vacant lots, Hearthstone Estates, Plat 2, 103 Chimney Ridge, 102 Fireside Loop. Vacant lots, Hearthstone Estates, Plat 2, 120 Fireside Loop. 988 Fireside Drive, 132 Patty Loop. Now therefore be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Prattville declares that an abundance of overgrown grass and weeds at the above listed addresses are a public nuisance. Be it further resolved that the owners of said property, as they appear in the records of Watauga County Revenue Commissioner, are ordered to abate the abundance of overgrown grass and weeds. Be it further resolved that the owners of said property are ordered to appear before the City Council of the City of Prattville at a public hearing at 6 p.m. on June 7, 2011 in Prattville City Hall. Notice of such hearing and a copy of this resolution shall be sent by certified mail to the owners of said property. So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Striplin. Councilman Striplin has moved this resolution. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Fink. Any discussion on this proposed resolution? Councilman Bowes.
Mr. Duke, on the last page, line 20, vacant lot, Hearthstone Estates, Plat 2, Lewis Hillier, 940 Silver Creek Circle. I know for a fact they put a new sod 2 weeks ago.
They put a new what?
They put new sod in that. That was a new house, and it was sodded 2 weeks ago. So
we will definitely check that.
Can
Mr.
you check
Bowles.
that for me?
That's fine. There might have been a delay between when we noticed it and when we got it to the agenda. So
okay.
We will check that before we send it out.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Councilman Fink.
Yes, I'd like to actually thank the planning department for this. It's clear you worked District 7, so I do appreciate that. This starts the growing season, and you've gotten a good jump on my district. I thank you very much.
Any further discussion on this resolution, proposed resolution? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, this resolution passes. You will see the last page in the agenda that we need to reconsider a action that we took during our last meeting. I need someone to recall this item. Will anyone agree to do that? Councilman Argo?
Yes, sir. Having voted on the prevailing side on resolution to authorize the issuance, execution, sale, and delivery of $1 million principal amount general obligation note of the City of Prattville and the payment thereof, Mr. President, I make a motion that that be reconsidered at this time.
Councilman Margo has moved that we reconsider this item. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilman Striplin. Any discussion on the move to reconsider? Do we need to vote on that, or is it just we go ahead and move on the floor?
You have to vote.
Okay. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, by like sign. Seeing no opposition, this item is properly before us again.
Mr. President.
Councilman Argo.
Mr. President, there are actually two amendments that need to be made, but I'll make them in one amendment. On page 3, there was a date that read April 29th, 2010. That should actually be amended to read April 29, 2011. And then on page 3, section 3, subsection C, it should have read as follows: that the principal of and interest on the note shall be payable in lawful money of the United States of America at the principal office of the registered owner thereof in Wetumpka, Alabama, at par and without discount, exchange, or deduction or charge therefor. The municipality hereby covenants and agrees to pay all bank charges for the note. Mr. President, I make those two, make that a motion to make those two amendments.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Wood. Any discussion on the proposed changes? All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, changes are adopted. Now, do we need to vote on the changed? Okay. Do I hear a motion to adopt the amended resolution? Councilman Argo.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adopt the resolution as amended.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Striplin. Any discussion on the amended resolution? Seeing none, all in favor signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the amended resolution is passed again. All right. We will entertain comments from persons present on anything that you'd like to bring before the council. After this, we will be going into an executive session to discuss a couple of legal matters that must be addressed. And at the end of the executive session, actually, we will adjourn this meeting before we go into executive session. So we will now entertain comments from the general public on any subject. Anything that you would like to bring before the council? Yes, sir.
Is it appropriate now to speak on something that was on the agenda? Is that?
By our rules, the agenda items are are supposed to be addressed at the first. However, it is at the discretion of the chair, and if you need to address something before this council, by all means, come forward.
Well, I would like to clarify a couple of things, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
My name is Mac Champion. I live at 995 Upper Kingston Road, Prattville, Alabama. Ordinance number 7 was a request to rezone property located off County Road 4 and Corley Road, which y'all held for 2 weeks. As the representative of the estate, I would just like to let you know we'll be make available anything that you need or would ask of us about this development plan. We've tried, bless you, we've tried our best to be very forward and upfront about that, and we did explain to the IDB, of course, it's time is money, and every time you are delayed, it costs you a little bit more, and we're working through those arrangements. But we did make them aware that we would make anything available to them that they needed. And I think they have some concerns about whether or not this is going to have a negative impact on the city's industrial park. We never brought anything forward that we anticipated being negative on the city of Prattville. Absolutely the furthest from that. But in our thought process, we'd be better off coming before the city. But it's almost like now we wished we'd gone another direction. It's not in the city limits. It doesn't have to be in the city limits, but we thought that it would be better for a control factor for the city of Prattville. So we're going to abide by whatever you ask us to do. I have called a couple of you that I haven't talked to. I would like to be able to get in touch with you that I have not talked to one-on-one to discuss this. And we're trying to set up a meeting now to get with the IDB about it. Nobody wants to have a bad relationship with their neighbor, ever. But I can tell you from long experience, municipal government experience, people love to drag the city into the middle of the cat fight. I don't like you. I don't like you. So what I do is I ask y'all to attack them. And I have no validity, and I apologize. I didn't mean to disparage you, Mayor Gillespie, or you, Stephanie. That was just, and it's an issue that's very difficult. I do feel like that we have been beat up pretty good, and I don't think that's the intent ever of trying to get something through as a process. And that's why I would like to speak. We've met with the mayor several times. We've met with Mr. Reniger several times. And I'll be glad to meet with y'all and discuss this in depth. And I think after you hear the whole thing, maybe you'll understand our frustrations and what we would like to do. And maybe you can help us come up with something that won't be so disagreeable to everybody. But to know that at the amen hour, a lot of contacts were made. Property's been for sale for almost 18 months. And yet nobody comes forward until there's a proposal to move forward with a development. An economic impact of about $52 million for the city of Prattville. I think that's economic development. But like I said, we'll be glad to meet with y'all anytime, one-on-one. I do want to meet with some of you one-on-one to discuss this.
Any questions that you'd like to ask of Mr. Champion while we have him here? Councilman Bowe.
Can I get your number?
354-6257.
And you still have mine?
Yes.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Champion.
Thank you, Mr. Reniger. Thank you, council.
Anyone else like to address the council at this time? Mr. Lewis?
I'm David Lewis, and I live at 776 Stapleford Trail. I wanted to expand on the comments that we made tonight about the Character Coalition. Just to let you know, the Character Coalition exists as a means to promote good character in our community. And we've worked really hard. We have 23 individuals that have worked really hard for the last 5 or 6 years to promote this effort at the request of the city. And that organization was formed by resolution of the City Council. And we want to thank you for that. And I just want to make sure that you know that we're doing everything that we can do to maintain an effort of promoting good character. I know that our funding was impacted this year because of the budget restraints of the city, and we respect that. But we want to ask that you consider that you continue to support our efforts. Good character is one of those things that it's easy to put on the shelf and say, oh, we've got that under control, until we have a problem that comes up. And it's one of those things that you don't know that's a problem until it is one. And we're doing everything that we can do to try to continue to promote good character. And we want to thank you for your support. I want to make you aware, as we mentioned earlier, that we do have Good Character Week coming up. We are sponsoring a chamber luncheon on April the 11th. It's going to be held at lunchtime at the Legends, and Aero Pest Control is sponsoring that luncheon for us. And we're going to be recognizing citizens in our community for their efforts to act with good character. And I'd like to ask each of you to consider being there to support your constituents.
You just want a lot of characters there, right?
Well, you are a character, sir. Thank you. I do appreciate the opportunity to present these awards tonight to these young people, and it's an effort on our part to just bring awareness. Obviously, our main audience are the children in our community, but we can't expect our children to act with good character if we're not willing to do so. So I thank y'all for your support.
Anything from Mr. Lewis? Councilman Striplin.
I'm sorry, May the 11th. April the 11th is my wife's birthday, which is why I won't forget that date. I apologize.
Okay.
Y'all, please tell her I did that.
Anything else for Mr. Lewis before he goes to his maker? Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Anyone else have anything to bring before the council at this time? Mr. Mayor, do you have anything to wrap us up with? Anything else to say?
Well, just want to remind everybody one more time about the City Fest that starts at 7 o'clock. The band Tip Tops is going to be the one starting it off for us this year. Also, around 1 o'clock, right behind City Hall, we'll have at our Art Center, we will have awards being passed out there. Around 3 o'clock, ducks will be dropped off from Bridge Street, and hope everybody comes out to enjoy City Fest. Also, just want to remind everybody that, and hope everybody has a happy Mother's Day. So.
Councilman Striplin. Councilman Wood. No. Councilman Argo.
Yes, sir. Two things real quickly. First of all, I want to remind everyone again about the National Day of Prayer on Thursday morning of this week at 6 o'clock at Doster. It's a great opportunity to come out and pray with fellow citizens about the things that are going on in our world, but especially in our community and those that are around us. Appreciate the mayor always being a part of that. I do have a question, though. I received a card from the Ministerial Association about our elected officials' prayer monthly meeting on Friday, and normally when we have the National Day of Prayer, we don't meet on that Friday. So do you know if we're meeting on Friday?
I actually have that same card. I figured they just needed us to pray more, but I will follow up on that and let you know.
Normally we don't meet, so that's good. The other thing that I wanted to remind everybody of is that the Autauga Education Foundation each year joins with the A-Plus Foundation, and we have a fundraising banquet to raise money for academics and athletics. And this year, our speaker is Nick Saban. You'll be seeing a lot of advertisements in the newspaper. You will hear it on the radio. You will see it on TV during the sports. I appreciate the Prattville Progress and all the wonderful work that they always do for us every year and making sure we get the word out. And I do want to encourage you, especially if you're a University of Alabama fan, please buy a ticket and come hear Coach Saban and raise money for academics and athletics that go right back into the school system in Autauga County. So please do that. And I wish I had a date for you. David, do you remember the date? 3rd. When is it? 3rd, May 23rd. May 23rd. Thanks, David. I thought I had it on my calendar, but I don't. May 23rd. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Bowes?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Fink?
Just a happy Mother's Day as well, and happy birthday to my mother yesterday.
How about that? I'd like to thank all of you folks for coming out to be with us tonight. Kudos to all the city employees and the way that y'all responded to the needs of others. At this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session. Councilman Argo.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss legal matters with our attorney, and upon the end of that executive session, that this meeting be adjourned.
It's been moved by Councilman Argo. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Bowes. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign.